Hello. So I thought I would do a short video. I'm gonna try and make this one short on surrendering. Surrendering is such a prominent phrase that's used on the spiritual path, and yeah, I just thought I'd share my experience of it, my exploring it. So surrendering, it in some ways it's quite simple. It's just like like the word sounds, right? It's just you surrender. I give up. And and in many ways it's quite key. That's quite a key activity on the path, because we have this illusion of control, this illusion of authorship, this illusion of free will, which in my experience are illusions and don't exist. And when we believe that those things do exist and that we're in control, usually it leads to suffering, because reality is going this way and we're trying to make it go that way. And and if it's not, I mean, reality is just going to go the way it's going, and we're quite fortunate when it's in alignment with how we want it to go, and very unfortunate when it's out of alignment with where we want it to go. It's like one of my teachers described it as driving one of those cars, those kids' cars at the fair, where it's got a steering wheel on it, but the steering wheel doesn't actually do anything. The ride's got its own path it's going on. So we're taught to surrender, just let go, and then so what the mind can tend to do is make that into an activity, right? So okay, I'm going to surrender. I'm going to do surrendering. Um, and then it just becomes one more thing that we're doing, right? And then so when it seems like we're surrendering, then we're then the reality is going in line with how we want it to go. And then when it doesn't seem like we're surrendering. So it became kind of clear to me at one point that there's nothing to surrender. That surrendering is not a doing. Surrendering is really just a shift in perspective. Just as, right? So it's like seeing through the illusion of the self. We can't do that. We just shift our perspective and say, oh yeah, that doesn't actually exist. We haven't done anything. There wasn't a self there before that we erased. I really like the analogy. It's like looking through a window. If they were inside or even outside, the window can either be a mirror and we can see its reflection of what's behind us and reflection of us, or we can kind of shift our focal point and we see what's inside, past the window. And surrendering is just like that. Surrendering is just seeing that we never had any semblance of control whatsoever. All right, so if you go back to the person with the on the that's driving the little toy car, does that it has absolutely no bearing on the car or anything. If that person decides, okay, I'm going to surrender and allow the car to drive itself, but the car is just driving itself anyways. The only difference is if that guy wants his car to go left and the ride just goes around in a circle on the right, then he's just going to be really, really frustrated and suffer. Um, yeah, there was also another imagery that I had once. It's like on the Titanic, right? So the Titanic's going underwater, and it's now underwater. But there's a little, so say the cook is in the kitchen, and the water hasn't come in there yet, and he's holding the door as if thinking that holding this door is having any bearing whatsoever on Titanic sinking. I don't know. It's kind of just trying to illustrate. Oh, here's another one. This was, I think it was Jack Cornfield told the story. This fellow that his grandkids took him. He'd never been in an airplane before, and his grandkids took him for flight. They paid for a flight. It was like a barnstorming, like the plane that would come around. And so he got it in, and he was a little bit nervous, but he got in, and then he flew around, and he came down, and his grandkids said, "Well, how was that, Grandpa? Was it?" And he goes, "Yeah, it was pretty nice. I got to see our farm, and so that was really great, and I saw you guys." And he says, "Yeah, well, how was it, Grandpa? Like, were you scared?" And he goes, "No, I wasn't too scared, but to tell you the truth, I didn't uh, quite let my weight down all the way." Right? So this fellow, he's in this airplane, and he thinks that him kind of holding himself up on the seat is going to make some kind of difference. And it sounds ridiculous, but that's what we do. And so, yeah. So there's letting go. There's kind of a, we can definitely let go of things, but ultimately, if we look deeper, um, it's really just to see that whatever we're hanging on to is all just falling with us. Anyways, and so yeah, just surrendering is really just a letting go of the idea of control or authorship or yeah. It's like surrendering is just what's happening all the time anyways. Yeah. So on that note, I wish you all good things.